Hey everybody, this is Pete from PA Labs. What I'm doing today is I'm kicking off a new GUI demo project. And this one's going to be on animation. And I suspect this will be relatively popular. So what I've started with is out here in the help system. We have a windowed, let's start it over here. It was down here somewhere. Let's see, screen. If you go to 2D games and screens, and then we have open a windowed screen. And then what I did was come down here to open screen. Okay, did you do that? I don't know what it did. I thought that would open it up as a code window. Oh, it just jumped to there. That's because I hit the wrong thing. Here it is. Okay, so I started with the code straight out of the manual. All right. And well, that's a great place to start. I'm not saying anything negative, but sometimes the manual takes shortcuts and doesn't do things that I think should be done. And that's because they got a tight, small area to work in. And so what I did was I started with theirs and I said, okay, let's turn this into a project. Let's turn it into a standard project that everybody out here is going to recognize. And so to that end, I added several things. We've added jelly buttons and I've thrown in static. And I've come out here and built, let's see, we have Windows, my forms folder. Their little bitty window I didn't particularly care for. It was way too small. So I decided to say, this is going to be my main screen. Now, to try to get things to be all lined up and pretty, see, that's all fine, I guess. That'll do. And the thought that maybe one day I'll throw in scroll bars and sliders and stuff like that, and we can, make all of this movable. Maybe at some point I'll make that a scroll area gadget. But for now, he's a placeholder. I used a canvas gadget as a placeholder and said, that's where I want my windowed screen. The top up here is going to be toolbar on the right. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but this is going to be kind of a control panel. And then this will be status down here. Okay, so this is going to be my windowed screen. So I saved all of this, named it all. And this, of course, the form is called main. FRM main is what he's called. Let's see if I can click the actual screen. Yeah, there you go. And you can see he's FRM main, and this is just a windowed screen demo. I've pushed the code out, and then of course I had to hack and slash the project, the demo project. But you'll notice this is all looking pretty standard. They started out with a main window of 0, which I kind of don't like using numbers for stuff. I much prefer names, and I think that actually for me goes back to there's another one I missed. So I believe this comes back to me. I think this has to be load sprite on window ID. So to the days of COBOL, where everything was in full sentences and you had, all but punctuation in writing code. And for me, I prefer having names for everything. And I wanted to have the screen start like every single screen we ever start. We open up the main window, and that's actually calling the code from over here in my let's collapse this junk down a bit. So I have the one form in here, and this does the open window, and that's the form that we just exported from Ice Designer. And so this starts just like every other program we have. And now I did something kind of sneaky. I guess is the right word. I don't know. Somebody may say it's kind of smart, and I'll commend them for having said it. I named a game screen is the name of my variable, and I called it of type gadget. Now, you know automatically that means I'm fixing to replace some gadget, right? So what we want to do is replace this canvas. Oops, come on. Where did you go? All right, we want to replace this. I don't know why I got two of those up. I want to replace this canvas with the windowed screen. So instead of trying to do numbers and stuff like that, what I wanted to do is create a variable that made sense. So this is going to be called game screen. And then I free my canvas gadget out there and load it into game screen. Now, when we open up our second window, when you have a windowed screen, you're basically opening up a window, a standard window form, just like you always do in any sort of any PureBasic application. But then you're opening up this graphics animation window inside your window. Okay, so you have two of these you're playing with now. So a lot of things are going to double on us. Initially, this is going to be the world of sprites. So if you want to think in terms of like a side scroller game, what do they call them? Shmups, where it's a shoot 'em up kind of game, or that sort of thing. What were some of the old ones in the old days where you save the queen? Mario Brothers and all of that style of game, you're going to have colliding sprites and bullets and whatever. You're going to have collisions of stuff. So here we're opening up this graphic window inside our main window. And as I said before, I built a canvas gadget and I was real careful because I made it in nice solid round numbers. He's 800 by 600 as his size, and the rest of my window wraps around him. So I don't have to remember where he is because I have created this gadget called, well, of type gadget. I've created this variable of type gadget and then freed my actual canvas gadget. Now, when I open this window, I can come into here and we're going to be fancy and we're going to use the desktop scaling and all of that cool dealing with the fact that I've made my screen bigger and everything. And we're going to say, okay, this is my game screen is at, hey, guess what? Game screen X, game screen Y. What's its width? Well, it's going to be W and then H. Hey, we're all cool. And then we come down here and this is the rest of the default coming out of the demo that they gave us. And I'm going to have to pause here for a minute. As I was saying, everything looks great. It looks the same. We're calculating a few variables. Okay, we'll get into the released mouse and is input released and stuff like that in a bit. I'm just walking you through some of the changes that I've put in here. I've put in a lot of comments. So because we have two windows, remember we have our two windows up here, we're going to have two repeat loops. Now, it's going to be the same and then it's going to be different. So the inside repeat loop, you got the outer repeat loop and then you got the inside repeat loop. The inside repeat loop looks exactly like the repeat loop you're used to seeing in every application you've ever done. Okay, we have the event closed. We have our standard get the events. I didn't get the window one because right now I'm only dealing with one window. So we come down here and you've got your event gadget. We have our quit button. We have our capture button. And then this runs not until quit. This runs until all events are finished. There are 0 events left in the queue for this loop to process. Okay, so that's an important step. So I'm going to go ahead and collapse that first repeat. Now we're looking at, yes, this is the overall window, but this is actually the graphics window now. So what the graphics window does is say, hey, we're going to be running this loop right here, this examine keyboard to wherever this thing ends until quit or what have you. And this flip buffers is the key, really. Because what he does is this is your animation. Okay, he's running this loop at, I don't know, however fast your machine can run this loop, 60 frames a second. This is building the frames of animation. Okay, this is where most of your processing of your animation comes into being. All right, so he starts with an examine keyboard. This is building. If you think back to movies, how are the talking movies, the movies made? It's individual cells on a film strip that are static pictures, right? And you play them at a certain speed. Your eyes can't see the change of the image, but what we see is the result of it. We see the magic of movement on the screen, even though all we are really looking at is still images, correct? And so it's the same thing here. We're building a frame of that video of the movie, all right? So for this frame, he says, okay, examine the keyboard. And what this is going to do, he examines the keyboard and he draws all this stuff on the screen, and then he flips the buffers. So he's got two buffers going here. He's got two basically copies of the screen, and he's showing you one screen all the while he's building the next frame for you to see. And every time he hits flip buffers, you see the new picture, and he immediately starts building the second one behind the scenes. So you're not seeing it get built unless you got really fast eyes. And what happens is you're looking at the previous one while he builds the next one, and this is happening at 30 frames a second. So your eyes, the human eye, can't see that fast. And for some machines, it's probably an awful lot faster than that. But that's the gist of it. You're right here in this code is the film strip of the movie. And while you're watching frame 1, he's building frame 2. And then when you're watching 2, he's building 3. So that's how this is doing. Each pass through here does a full complete build of a frame. Now, what does a frame consist of? A frame consists of, hey, did you touch a key? Okay. Does that graphic screen own your cursor, or is the cursor external? Okay. And I'm going to show you another way to do this to where we don't have the capture my cursor, release my cursor kind of thing. And what it does is it tracks the cursor. And when the cursor is over our canvas or our game screen now, then we capture it. And when it's external, when it goes outside our border, we release it. Okay, we want that to be a smooth transition. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put a gauntlet as the cursor. So as you have a pointer on your screen, it transitions into the gauntlet when you're over the graphics screen, and that's nothing more than a PNG, so a image. So it's going to translate into that, and then when you go back, it'll go back to being a pointer. So that's transitioning between the capturing the cursor and releasing the cursor. Here it's being all done based upon the buttons and stuff, okay? So he's looking to say, okay, did you push the key up, key down, left and right, because you're going to move something? And then we go, okay, and here we can actually throw in, if we want to be fancier, we know what our game screen is, right? So if your cursor is greater not 280, we're going to say if it's greater than Y, right? So, or is that, yeah, that's Y. So that's going to be up and down. And then X is going to be, him going side to side. So this is going to, we don't want 300. We would rather have that be our width, right? So we can now use these variables as what are the parameters of our screen. We don't have to hard code numbers. Okay, so then we have another check down here that says, okay, have you hit F1? Because if you've hit F1, release the mouse, inputs released. So then this probably isn't going to do anything but error. I don't have any of his controls on there. We can't do a gadget set text on something that's not there. And then it's probably going to exit us out. So now we're going to clear the screen and redraw. So this is where we're beginning the work on starting the new one. We cleared the screen with an RGB of black. We clip the sprite, and this is probably the sprite we're moving. And here he's doing the where things are going. We'll have to go look that one up. I don't know this one right off the top of my head. What is clip the sprite? Adds a clip zone to the sprite. Okay. Okay, as 10. Okay, so what he's doing is sizing the size of the graphic and whatnot. Okay, and then he flips the buffers. Okay, so we're going to repeat that forever until we've hit a quit. If quit has changed to true, or you hit an escape key. So let's see. We've modified the original screen a bit, the example, but it's still the same basic example. Come on, here we go. My machine just doesn't have the power it used to. These video programs are real hogs on resources, aren't they? Eventually, I hope it comes up. What did you do? Screen width minus sprite is not initialized. So that's my own problem, my own fault. Remember when I changed that 0 when I was saying that this was the window? I was thinking because he used to have a window ID of 0. I should have gone over here and looked up the sprite, and he wants a sprite number. So what, at the moment, I'll just leave that as 0. Basically, we need to create some enumerations and whatnot in here, and that was why that crashed. Okay, so we'll run it again. Sometimes I do things as I'm talking and I'm not really paying that much attention because I'm trying to focus on what I'm saying. Okay, so here's our screen and here comes our cute little bars down. And instead of that being a little itty bitty window, it's a great big window now. So we can come in and capture. And now I'm moving that PureBasic image. There is my cursor. So eventually that'll be a gauntlet. And okay, so we can't get out until we hit, what is it, F1? There we go. F1 releases our keyboard. And now we're back over here to where we can move around our screen. What we want to do is do a transition here. So as we go onto the screen, it becomes the gauntlet. When it leaves, it comes over here. Now, we're going to go ahead and close this down because I think this is getting pretty big. I'm going to try to keep the videos a little shorter, but what I want to do is show you the project itself to show you where this is going. So images, let's see. I've got a bunch of sprite sheets back here that I've built over time. These are for various projects. I think most of these I grabbed out of, let's see, Conquest 2. So if you've ever played that game or messed in that game. Some of these will look familiar. The warp points, the phasing in and out of warp points. So here's paint.net showing you some of the animations I have back here. And these are the individual pictures that will rotate through and whatnot to do explosions. And this is a warp point. This is actually an individual cell that I took and I rotated and took many pictures of the same thing and its rotation. And I have a bunch more. But that's the idea of what we're going to do on this, is we're going to put a bunch of these on the screen and show you how and why they work. And I have an object that we're going to create to do all this for us. So thank you for your time. This is video 1, and I'm going to get started on video 2 as soon as I get this edited and up onto the page. Thanks for y'all's time.